Hello to anyone who might see this. Welcome to today's video, which is healing from IBS, because I struggled with IBS for like a year and a half or maybe almost 2 years, and I finally got out of it, so I thought I'd share my experience with it, my story, the reasons why it happened possibly, how I got out of it, and what I've done to heal my gut from it, how I healed my digestion. Because I think these are things that I haven't seen many people talk about on social media. And most of the advice I've seen on IBS and how to deal with it, how to heal from it, it all turned out to only make things worse in my case. So that's why I thought I'd share my own opinion and my tips, because if you're in the same case as I was, then maybe they will help you more than what we usually see. The first and probably the most important thing is that it's probably very closely related to your hormones and to your period and to your cycle, and that's what you should pay the most attention to. Because I realized that my symptoms actually started when a few months after I've started taking birth control. And I didn't realize that it was that at first. I didn't make the connection. But from the very beginning, I just sensed in my body that it was related to my hormones, because every time on my period it would get 1,000 times worse, and also around my ovulation time, etc. So I really felt that anytime that there's something big going on in terms of hormones, even though I was on the pill, then that's when it was the worst. And I also saw this girl Mara on Instagram talking about her experience with endometriosis and endometriosis in general and women's health in general, and how diminished it is in our society. And she said something that I found very interesting, because she said that sometimes women that deal with endometriosis, they get diagnosed with IBS instead of the real condition that they have. And I found it very interesting, because it made me think that I was right. It really is closely related to hormones, because otherwise it wouldn't be mistaken for endometriosis. And also it's mostly women suffering from IBS. I don't remember what the percentage is, but it's mostly women. So that means that there's something inherently female going on with all that. So you should really check whether it's not something else causing IBS in you. Really ask yourself, when did the symptoms first occur? When did it happen? Why did it happen? What provoked it? Like, after what big event, change, medical change in your life did it occur? And also, when do symptoms flare out the most? And then go from there. And you will see that oftentimes it's either hormonal or psychological, because it's also, I mean, you probably know that if you have IBS, but very, very often it flares up when you're in a stressful period in your life, when you're dealing with some other anxieties, etc. So I want to say here that you are the one who know your body the best. So really listen to your body, listen to your intuition, listen to your gut, literally, and do not let others make you believe things about your health, about your body, that you certainly know that they're not true. Because some people were telling me that I have IBS because I don't eat meat, or my doctor, when I told her that I feel like my symptoms always get worse when I'm on my period, she just completely minimized it, and she said, oh, that's normal, every woman gets that around her period. So I just didn't feel listened to, I didn't feel heard, and it turns out that I was right, because now I stopped taking birth control and my symptoms just went away like in a few days. This is crazy. And now I still eat meat and I don't get the symptoms anymore, so it wasn't because I wasn't eating meat, and I already knew that, but people weren't listening to me. You are the one who can know the best what's going on and why it's happening. And if a doctor is dismissing your concerns, is dismissing your questions about it, just like mine did, and if your doctor is just giving you medication or tips on how only treat the symptoms and not the root cause, and they're not going deeper into what's causing it, then just change the doctor. Don't go to them anymore. It's a waste of your time and money. So you should either figure out on your own what's going on, why it's happening, or find a good doctor that will help you find it. So as I said, I don't get these symptoms anymore, even though my digestion is still not perfect. There are still ups and downs, but it's already a million times better than it was a few months ago. But as I said, the thing that helped me the most was to stop taking birth control. And it truly suddenly went away. It was mind-blowing. However, I still have some tips on how I dealt with it when I did still have the symptoms, and then after it also to heal my gut. The first thing that is probably the most contradictory with what I've seen in terms of advice on IBS usually on the internet and even in scientific articles and things like that, but it is to not cut out certain foods from your diet. I feel like it only makes things worse, and obviously it doesn't apply if there are certain foods that you know really make you sick every time, and you know that you really can't eat them. And even when that happens, maybe you should go to a doctor and check whether you don't have some food allergies or intolerances, because that might actually be the cause and not necessarily IBS. Unless something really makes you sick every single time, you shouldn't cut out foods from your diet. In the beginning, when I got diagnosed with IBS, I really tried following a strict low FODMAP diet. I really paid attention to that. I really respected it every single day, and it did help a bit in the beginning, but long term it really only made things worse, because variety is key. Variety is so important. I mean, variety of the foods you're eating, many different types of foods. You should really try eating as many different fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, protein sources, because it's so important for your gut health. So only limiting yourself to eating only a few foods that you eat every single day without any variety, not only it makes your gut health even worse than it already is because of IBS, but also it causes your body to not be used to these foods that you don't eat, and then that is what causes your symptoms to flare up, because it's impossible to completely cut out certain foods. You can't do that. It won't happen, because there are always going to be times when you eat at someone's house, or you eat out in a restaurant or something, or you simply don't have the time to cook, and you don't have the time to make sure that what you're eating doesn't include anything that is low FODMAP. So it will still happen that sometimes you eat that type of food that you're usually avoiding, and then that's what makes it worse, because your body isn't used to getting this type of food, and that's what makes your digestion go crazy. So that's why you should try eating as many different types of foods as possible, but obviously don't eat everything at once, because once again that will just make things worse. But try to slowly implement things back into your diet. And with every food that you start eating again, you should try eating it first for a few days, and then see if after a few days the symptoms go away, if they don't affect you anymore. And that's how you will know whether you can truly implement them back into your diet, if you can truly eat them, or if they're just so bad for you that it won't be possible, you can't eat them. And then once that certain thing is working, for example, for me it was garlic and onions. It's something that I love. I've always loved to eat, but then they were making my symptoms so bad when I had IBS. So I stopped eating them completely for a few months. And as I said, at first it made things better, but then I would still eat them from time to time because it was impossible to avoid them completely. And then every time I would get such a bad stomachache and I would feel so bad. But then I tried implementing them back into my nutrition and I forced myself to eat them for a week. And then after a week, my symptoms just went away because my body got used to them again, and then they just weren't causing any harm to me anymore. Once I've done that, I went out and tried implementing apples back into my diet, for example, because I stopped eating apples as well because they were also causing my symptoms to flare up. But then the first time I ate an apple after a few months of not eating it, I was feeling horrible. But then I tried eating an apple every day for a few days, and then after a few days, things got better again. And the same method should go to your probiotics, whether it's natural probiotics in foods or supplements. You should really try to find which ones work for you and which ones don't. Because even with probiotics, and once again, it's something that I think is contradictory with what I've seen online on IBS. But for me, certain probiotics only make things worse also. So I know that sometimes you'll eat a food rich in probiotics and it will make things worse and your digestion is bad again, and you ask yourself, like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what else can I do for my digestion to get better? It's so frustrating. But this type of probiotic may just not be for you. So if you tried drinking kombucha and it made things worse for you, then just stop and maybe try eating kimchi instead. If kimchi doesn't work for you because it's too spicy and it also upsets your gut, then try just eating natural fermented cabbage without any spices, without any additives. And then if that still doesn't work, then maybe try something else. But you will certainly end up finding it because probiotics are so necessary and so good for your gut. You just need to find the right type for you. And the same goes with supplements, as I said. I tried taking some probiotics supplements and some just didn't work for me. They didn't do anything for me. So I stopped taking them and I just tried other ones that they actually helped me with my digestion. Listen to your body once again. Try implementing as much as possible of different types of foods, but let your body have a certain adaptation time every time and observe how your body reacts. But really avoid eliminating certain foods unless you really have to. And the last tips I have are maybe a bit more basic compared to the previous ones, but it's still important to remind yourself of them from time to time. Eat slowly, chew slowly and correctly. No distractions when you're eating, because your digestion starts as soon as you put food into your mouth and you start chewing it. That's why you should pay attention to how you eat, how you chew your food, and also that way it can help you to listen to the signals your body is sending you. You can know whether you're full, whether you've eaten enough or not, because that's something that is also very important, just in general, but especially when you have a IBS or any digestion issues. Don't eat neither not enough nor too much, because both are very bad for you. And as I said, especially when you have IBS and your gut needs some extra help to work correctly. I already made a video on how to stop overeating. If you might be interested in that, you can check on my profile. But yes, it is very important to pay attention to these things when you have IBS. So that's all I have to say for today. I hope you learned something or something was helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!